we have made a mess on the motor. Alright guys, I'm back out here working on the 6.2 L86 engine. Figured I'd start getting prepared to start this thing on the stand. I've ordered a whole bunch of parts here, and I've waited a long time to get the control system in, to get the fuel tank in, and just some miscellaneous pieces and parts, the cold air intake. That all came in pretty quickly, but I've got everything I need now to start this thing on the stand. And if you look over here, this morning I worked on building some custom exhaust flanges to bolt up these O2 sensors to the stock manifolds because I could not find a flange that fit these stock Chevy truck manifolds. I could find it's using a 3-inch to 2.5 header collector, but the bolt pattern is a lot wider, so I had to make some custom flanges. But now that should set me up to be able to do the other things I need to do. These intake valves need to be walnut blasted. They've got a little bit of carbon buildup on them, and that's common with these direct injected engines, and it's not a big deal. I'll put an oil catch can on this engine in the future to help prevent some of that. But for now, while the motor's out of the truck, I'm going to go ahead and address that. I've also got the vacuum pump delete kit and a few other things for this. My control harness is from Speartech. Got a hold of those guys, and they built this custom harness for me to hook up to this motor, and hopefully it's pretty much set right. But if not, I've got HP tuners and I can make adjustments as necessary. And it's also the control system for this 8L90E transmission. So unfortunately, they did not have a control system for this transfer case, but that's not a big deal. I've seen where other people have adapted the NP208s and 205s, 241s to these transmissions, and I've got an NP208 on my truck, so shouldn't be that big a deal to make an adapter. I ordered this gas tank over here from Boyd Welding. Is about the cheapest fuel tank I could find that runs the Camero ZL1 fuel pump, which is a pulse width modulated fuel module to run these engines. So, and I've already bolted it in. It fit perfect. It's a baffled tank. It's not as big a deal on these fuel modules because they've got their own reservoir built onto them. But it's still a nice tank, and I definitely use them again. I don't know, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, I got a shifter for this transmission that has tapshift built onto it. I'm assuming probably out of either the Camero or the Corvette. It's got the tapshift controls on it. Should be nice. I'll have to make a custom console in the truck to mount this, but shouldn't be too big a deal. Yeah, I think that's about it. We've been setting up the sandblaster over here to walnut blast these valves. I've watched some videos, and that seems to be how most people address cleaning these valves without taking the heads off. I don't really want to have to take the heads off unless I have to. but we may end up there. I also have had the DOD programmed out on this control system. I did not go with the mechanical delete. If I find that a lifter is stuck or broke or anything, I will at that time do the mechanical delete. But right now everything seems fine. I've pulled off these valve covers and cranked the motor over by hand and have personally watched every single valve move, both exhaust and intake. So hopefully that won't be an issue. And at 45,000 miles, I would hope not. But I'm currently waiting on the radiator to come in still from Entropy Radiator. Seemed like they had some pretty good radiators for a reasonable price. They're custom made. But I'm still waiting on it. But I'm not going to let that be the holdup, because there's no reason that I can't go ahead and start this motor on the stand without a radiator for a short time. I just won't let it get too hot. So I've used all Earl's. I've got Earl's fittings and fuel line. They're Ultra Pro braided stainless fuel line. So yeah, we should have everything we need to go ahead and get this motor fired off. I've got an oil pressure gauge here so we can monitor that. Yeah, I think we're good to go. I got a B&M transmission dipstick. Got a new thermostat for this broken thermostat housing here. Yeah, so alright, let's get to it. We're taping off the intake ports of the ones we're not going to be blasting, so we don't get this walnut media down in each one. Before we blast each one, we're going to make sure that the intake valve is closed, so we're not getting the walnut down in the cylinders. And I could have went ahead and just taped all of it off, but I'm doing it individually so that I don't have to rip the whole thing off every time I move to a new intake, and I can just retape the last one I was on. So Trenton, I don't know if we can give them a close-up of what these intake valves look like. I'll try to shine my phone in there.
Yeah, you got a flashlight?
Yeah. Or I actually have a flashlight somewhere in here. Maybe I don't. Yeah, I do. Alright. So, if you can see down in there, kind of tell what that looks like. So hopefully after we're done with this, it'll look a lot cleaner.
What the hell are you doing, Michael?
I'm trying to figure out how to use a damn sandblaster.
What do you mean? That's not sand.
Yeah, this is walnut. Softer. I don't know, it's what they say you're supposed to blow
Hey,
off
is that stuff edible?
Yeah. Yeah. I do like some walnut, I guess. I don't know how to go about pouring this shit.
You got a funnel? Oh yeah, there's a funnel. Man, that stuff smells pretty good. I might be able to dip that.
Yeah, I figure so. I don't know what it's gonna do for you, but alright guys, me and Trenton are about to try to do this.
It ain't gonna work.
I don't know how well it's gonna work, but we'll see. made a mess on the motor, but it is coming clean, so just trying to figure out the technique now. Alright, I finally have all the intake valves pretty clean, but it looks like somebody exploded a grain silo in here. I have one hell of a mess to clean up, but that's okay. My valves are pretty clean now. They're not perfect, but they're way better than they were, and I'm okay with that. So, are y'all ready for the valve reveal? I think it's pretty good. I mean, it ain't perfect by any means, but probably good enough for government work. Alright, y'all ready to see this? I think that's better than when this bad boy rolled off the showroom floor. Okay, maybe not, but not too bad. Even if I did make a hell of a mess in here. But at least that part is done. Now I'm going to roll into installing the wiring harness. I think I got to change out this fuel pressure sensor up here on the fuel rail, so I'll do that, and then I'll put on the intake manifold, and then the rest of the wiring harness. So, oh, I can't wait to start this thing. Alright, so right there is the fuel rail pressure sensor that I got to change out. Like I mentioned in my first video on this motor, this motor was a 2017, which they changed from a 4-wire to a 3-wire. So my standalone harness kit I got came with, there we go, a 4-wire. Yeah, so I got to change that out. Wanted to go ahead and do that before I get the intake put back on, so should be pretty simple. They've given me instructions, and I think I can follow them, so alright, we'll get to it. There's my new one. I can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Once again, I'm blinding the camera. 4-wire pressure sensor. Alright, I gotta torque her down, I think, to 22 foot-pounds. Let's see. Alright, I found a socket, a 15/16 deep well, and I don't know where my 3H drive is, so this thing's a little overkill for 24 foot-pounds, but it does have it, so hopefully I won't over torque this thing. Go ahead and put this intake on. Now if I could just remember where the heck I put my bolts for this thing. I'm usually pretty good about keeping up with that stuff. I found them. They were right in front of me. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and torque those bad boys down. I think it's 89 inch-pounds, but I'll have to look in my book and see